Hello, everyone. Initially, I had contacted Lily throughout the season, simply to ask her a few questions regarding her relationship with Josh because there were many things on the show that just never really did seem to match up. Now, at the time, Lily said to me, I can't answer any questions right now due to the fact that I have to wait until the season is over. The season then came to an end, and then Lily then decided to, obviously contact me. Well, actually, in fact, I contacted prior before that again to simply say to her that I'm sorry to hear about her now being diagnosed with severe depression. Okay. Now, later on, she then did contact me, and then I was able to ask the questions that I needed to ask her, which are the ones on screen. All right. But before that, we did have a brief conversation about the way her relationship was with Josh. And I even did say to her that, like, given that you've now been diagnosed with severe depression, I can't imagine how challenging this would have been for you whilst you was in your relationship with Josh. Okay, which brings the beginning of the first line in the screenshot you can see in front of you. Okay, guys. So these are the questions that I did therefore then asked her. I said to her, "Did he really not have sex with you often? I can't imagine how that must have made you feel. Made me wonder if he was cheating on you. Do you think he was?" I understand because of your religion, it wasn't easy for you to leave him, but I can imagine you're happy that you be getting a divorce. Josh says you're getting a divorce on TikTok. It looked as if he may be using you for your money. Do you think he was? All right. Now, of course, bear in mind these questions will follow up the conversation that Mina had prior. Okay, guys. Where obviously she then expressed a few things to me, but after asking her these questions, the lady then decided to give me a big response on exactly what had been going down. So this is where I say, ladies and gentlemen, tuck in your seatbelts because as you can see in front of your screens right now, Lily did not waste any time and she definitely came through and gave me all the information possible that she wanted to give me regarding her relationship with Josh. And as you can see in the first paragraph, she starts off by saying our sex life is practically non-existent. It happens so infrequently that I've honestly lost count. I mentioned 5 times before, but no matter what, it hasn't succeeded 8 times. Initially, I found it strange. Even though we got married in Las Vegas, we had no intimacy afterward. I asked him, "Do you not like my body?" He angrily replied that he loved my body. Still, I felt insecure because he didn't touch, kiss, or hold me. Honestly, I believe I have a good physique. My skin is firm because I swim, play badminton, and do spinning regularly. Despite this, I feel insecure. He always insists everything is fine. Yet, when he randomly blames me for things, I get angry too. I'm a human. Every time I get upset, I still hug him, but he's never initiated a hug for me. This situation makes me question, is he gay? I'm unsure. However, I'm convinced he has a narcissistic and extreme one. He once told me that a woman he dated wanted intimacy, but he refused. Those women even accused him of being gay, but he denied it. In July this year, while I was in the US with him and his daughter, one of them casually mentioned Dad is gay. At the time, I thought she was joking. I even asked him directly, "Do you like men? If you do, you can be yourself. In today's society, people are accepting of that. So, you so you don't need to worry about coming out." He insisted he didn't like men. So I'm left wondering, is he gay? And move on to and then move on. In July this year, while I was in the US, with him and his daughter, one of them casually oh, my bad. I'm reading the same one again. My apologies, okay? Then here it says, some of his exes privately messaged me saying he has little interest in sex. It makes me think, is he a narcissist and potentially gay? Because of his narcissistic personality disorder. He thrives on controlling and tormenting those around him to feel fulfilled. Perhaps being with a man would make it harder for him to dominate, which is why he seeks Asian women. He once angrily admitted he believes Asian women are submissive, won't argue with their husbands, and are embarrassed to discuss sex, making them easier to control. A little over a month after we got married, I noticed he wasn't the same as before. He suddenly became cold and often got angry without any reason. He threw random tantrums while working from home. During this time, I was in the US. taking care of him. I cooked delicious Chinese meals for him daily, which he loved. I also covered all of our expenses, including his car's gas, and even replacing its battery. I didn't care about about his financial situation because he had told me early on that he didn't have much money. I believed that love is about being together, regardless of wealth. I once told him, if I beg for bread, I'll give you the bigger piece and keep the smaller one for myself. Despite everything, he blamed me daily. I couldn't understand why. I even reached out to his family for help. His mother said his first love hurt him, making him sensitive. So I was extra considerate of his emotions. I'd hug him and reassure him whenever he was angry. I thought my patience and love could make him happy. One day, out of nowhere, he demanded that I put my house in his name. I was so frightened. I was so frightened. I cried and ran out in my pajamas. A kind 70-year-old neighbor asked what was wrong, but I didn't dare tell them the full story. I felt trapped and helpless. After doing some research, I realized many of his behaviors aligned with narcissistic traits. I tried to understand his past by asking his family, but they didn't give me any helpful answers. They either ignored me or just prayed for us. Later, I discovered he had lied about many things. A Chinese woman messaged me claiming he had lived with a Vietnamese woman for 4 years while dating another Chinese woman and me. He dismissed these accusations, but my gut told me they were true. There's so much more to our story. I've endured heartbreak, betrayal, and constant emotional treatment. It's just a torment. If I were to write it all down, it could fill a book. Even now, as I recount these experiences, my hands are trembling. I guess I've always been a bit of a dreamer. Honestly, I've had I haven't had much of experience with love. Aside from my daughter's father, I haven't been in many relationships. When I married him, I was far too young, just 18, and at that age, I didn't even understand what love truly meant. We got married, and I had my daughter at a very young age. Back then, I never gave him the kind of emotional investment I'm capable of now. When my daughter was 7, we separated. Though we didn't officially divorce at the time, he moved to another city for work. While I stayed in mine, focusing on my career and raising my daughter, I worked hard to give her the best education and the most comfortable life I could imagine. During that time, I had no interest in dating. My sole focus was on earning money and being there for my daughter. However, deep down, I longed for a beautiful romantic love, something like the kind of love you see in the movies. But I've always been very cautious about relationships, almost to a fault. I was afraid that someone might only pursue me for my money. In China, there were plenty of people who showed interest in me, but I was too scared to take any of them seriously, worried they might only be trying to deceive me. And then I met Josh. He seemed so genuine at first, and I opened my heart to him. Honestly, I believed this was my first real love, the kind that's deeply unforgettable. I'd never been in a relationship like this before. When we first met, he would send me sweet messages every day, and his video calls made me feel so happy. It was as if my entire world was wrapped in a rosy glow. Even though I was so careful about choosing a partner, I still ended up being deceived. I just couldn't make sense of it, and it sent me into a deep depression. Maybe it's because I've been starved for love for so long. I've always been the one carrying the weight of life alone. I've always yearned for someone to truly love me. So this was the end of what she said. Okay, so this is everything that she said to me. All right. Don't get me wrong. I do feel like there's maybe other questions that I could have still asked, but to be honest with you, I don't really know how. I didn't want to put Lily in a position where I felt I was asking too much, to be honest with you. And I felt like she gave us everything, or at least gave me everything that was needed to at least cover up some of the things that were asked regarding their relationship. Now, of course, she doesn't say anything directly about whether or not she felt as if Josh was using her for money, but she does touch on it lightly, talking about the whole money situation. So it's up to you guys to really have your conversation and really have your guess whether or not you believe that Josh did use her for the money. Okay. Now, also when it comes to the cheating, that's another question I did ask her. But obviously, for herself in particular, she has made it abundantly clear that when it comes to the cheating, that's something that obviously may have happened due to something that he had been told by other women as well. But then also when it came to the intimacy, she also makes it abundantly clear that she's unsure if he's gay, because at the end of the day, the way he wasn't really giving her much affection was very quite questionable. She even makes it abundantly clear that she even went to his family and even asked for help, to see obviously if there's anything they can do to maybe help improve their relationship. But the family, I guess, wasn't really there to help, and all they wanted to do is pray. Now, also on top of that, this is something that she didn't put on the screen, but this is something that we spoke about. She did say to me that one of the reasons why she obviously struggled to leave Josh was purely because of religion. She's a Christian, and you're supposed to stay in love and try as hard as you can. But of course, their relationship had to come to an end at some point. Now, also on top of that, she also did express and confirm the amount of time that they potentially had intimacy. And she says she thinks maybe it would have been about 8 times, but either way, though, it got to a point where she just simply forgot. I mean, listen, given the fact that everything that she's saying is true, it is quite sad for somebody to avoid love for such a long time, and then when they finally find someone who they believe is going to be that person does nothing but torment them. That person does nothing but give them narcissistic traits, energy. And it's crazy, but she even said that being in this relationship obviously then sent into a deep depression, which is very sad. I mean, listen, I will say this. I know that no man and no woman wants to be in a relationship with somebody that does not want to be physical with them. Because physicality is one of the biggest reassurances that we all need in our relationships with the people that we decide to spend our time with. Okay? Because when it comes to intimacy, it tells us that this person, one, still finds us attractive. Two, their feelings may still generally be there. Three, we feel good enough to share our bodies together. Among so many other good reasons of why intimacy is such a crucial thing to a relationship. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people in this world that, generally speaking, when it comes to intimacy, it's really not that deep for them. I mean, to be fair, I have no idea why it really wouldn't be that deep to some people, to be honest, because intimacy is such a big part of connecting with another human being, especially once you connect to that person mentally. And I've always believed that when you are mentally connected to someone, you are automatically then also physically connected to someone. Because the reality is this, sometimes you can be physically connected to someone, but it doesn't mean you're going to be mentally connected to someone. That's why obviously when you are mentally connected to someone, it's so much more when you're mentally connected to someone before intimacy, it's so much more powerful. And it means so much more for the soul. And I guess this is why there's a difference between making love and having straight up effing sex. So there is that too. And clearly when it came to their relationship, Josh did not care to want to give her that reassurance when it came to the intimacy. And it seems to me, despite the fact that she didn't care about his money situation, it seems to me that obviously he wasn't really caring to even try and help in that kind of manner. But it's quite crazy though, because for a man to have the ability to have a woman in Vietnam and all this kind of stuff, it's kind of crazy how he's got all of that, right? But yet he has no money to share. If you ask me personally, I personally going to say, based on what I've read here, this man probably likes to see women who have got money because he just doesn't want to do it for himself. But I do find it interesting when she spoke about the fact that she does not know whether he's gay or not, but he has been called gay before by his own children. And also on top of that, exes from the past have also questioned the same thing as well. It truly does make you wonder. It truly does make you wonder. Now, I'm going to quickly send you over, guys, to her social media page real quick, because this is the post that she had made originally, okay, where she says, I have been diagnosed with severe depression and I feel sad every day. Sometimes I don't know what to do every day apart from work. I am alone in a very big house, and now with so many of you loving and accompanying me. Now, this is something that she had posted before she had actually messaged me, myself in particular, or before obviously me and her had this conversation. But she did earlier on today also post this as well. Now I'm gonna play it because she does actually speak. Oh, but then again, the music in the background, I don't know if that music is gonna keep giving me copyright. So with that being said, let me read what she says at the side here. On the side here, she does say, "Hello everyone. Let me introduce you. Those photos were taken by my husband when he lived in China. From now on, he is my ex, and I want to start deleting my beautiful photos of us together on my phone. I really I really don't want to delete many photos. Such sadness. Thank you, Mr. Josh, for intruding into my once beautiful life. Thank you for shattering all my beautiful dreams. Thank you for breaking my heart. I don't know how long it would take to recover. Thank you for letting me know that there is another non-human group in our world. Thank you for letting me know that kindness cannot be given to others casually, because some people never know gratitude, never know what love is. You're losing me, X." I mean, listen, it's a very sad situation because given that everything that Lily is saying is true, and for me personally, I'm in a position where I'm inclined to believe Lily more than I'm inclined to believe Josh. But who knows? Maybe Josh will respond. Maybe Josh will say something. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I think when you're watching the show and you're watching the way these two would conversate, it did feel very much as if Josh was always trying to control the narrative, because she also speaks about how Josh also needs to have power. He needs to be in control. And let's be real, when it came to the season itself in particular, there were definitely many, many moments where Lily would try and speak her piece, but Josh would try and control the situation. There was even the scene before when Josh would say something and even his brother did not agree with him, and he even went after his own brother because his brother would not agree with him. He even spoke rudely to Vivian, Lily's daughter, when he didn't agree with what she said. So there was that moment when everybody else was on the same page but him, and the way he reacted definitely was not present. It definitely was not pleasant. So I do feel like there were definitely scenes that had shown that Josh, obviously enjoys the idea of controlling the narrative, amongst other things as well. But it's entirely up to you folks what you want to believe, obviously what perspective you want to go with. But yes, and also it was just to clarify, this was a form of an interview. It's just that it was easier for me to ask Lily questions via text rather than actually, what do you call it? Rather than me and her have an actual conversation by voice, purely because English is not exactly her first language, and that's why obviously we've done it in this format. And Lily obviously had to use a translator to be able to actually translate everything that she had written down. Okay, so bear that in mind as well. Now, with that being said, thank you so much for your time. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and we can most certainly talk about it. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.